Bang. Welcome back, folks. This is the Daily Crypto Byte with CJ, Monty, and John. And keep in mind that we are sponsored by Voyager, where you can trade 50 plus digital assets for no commission. They will pay you on deposited coins up to almost 10% APY. So, man, why wouldn't you? There are big, huge places like Coinbase, and there are big regulated places like Voyager. And I think you should try Voyager out because they're a sponsor of the show and because it's where all three of us trade. It's a great access point to the crypto world. Voyager, a regulated exchange out of Canada. And everybody in the US can use it except New York. One of these days, they'll get New York on board. But guys, Ethereum, ETH, Ether, just blowing up, trading to nearly 2,600. And just, man, another, 9.7% to the upside today. Or in the last 24 hours, that's some outperformance.
Yeah, John, that's definitely something worth noting. CJ and I talked, we had our member webinar yesterday. It's an hour long. We had a lot of questions about ETH because, people notice that divergence when ETH and Bitcoin aren't moving in the same direction. It's particularly noteworthy. We talked yesterday about how Bitcoin dominance was falling. One thing I want to quickly bring up today is the total value of US dollars locked in DeFi. So this is a chart we look at all the time as kind of a gauge of, not only the amount of people that are building on Ethereum, but also the amount of speculation that's happening on the assets built on Ethereum. So as you can see, in this last 2 days, we've seen a tremendous spike up in the total value locked in DeFi. And I think this is worth noting because we're approaching our previous all-time high where we got rejected and we saw, some of that DeFi capital flow back into Bitcoin, allowing it to rise up to 60K. I think now, the interest is flowing back into DeFi. And I think that's a lot of the reason why we're able to see this sort of price action in ETH. Like you said, John, broke its all-time high, even with lackluster Bitcoin price action. So definitely worth noting.
Yeah. And Bitcoin, CJ, breaking 50%. BTC dominance is now at 49.9. So it's less than 50% of the total volume that's out there trading. That's also saying a lot about the altcoins and how people are really focused in on those like a laser, more than the king of all cryptos, Bitcoin.
Yeah, we've had this kind of shift of speculation from Bitcoin now that prices started to stagnate just a little bit to Ethereum. And I think the story of the day really is the massive jump on the DeFi perpetual index from FTX. We have assets like Aave, Mana, Maker is another one that's performed very, very well on the backs of this Ethereum rally. So I'm focusing a lot on DeFi in these next coming week or two, based on kind of the technical setups and what we're seeing in the market. But yeah, I'm curious to hear you guys' thoughts on the market and possibly the doges of the day later on.
Do you ever trade, by the way, either of you guys, Ethereum Classic ETC? Because that's one that I have not traded. I watch it because, along with Ethereum, I keep an eye on it, but I have not ever made a trade in Ethereum Classic. What do you guys think of that one?
Ethereum Classic, I have not traded either. Although it is trending. We've seen some of those 2017 kind of old altcoins trend, and Ethereum Classic is definitely one of them. Very bullish posture currently, but I have not traded that one very extensively, John.
Yeah, I'm right there too. Haven't traded it at all. And, I think you make a great point, CJ. We see so many of these assets that were around in 2017, even if it's, we like to talk about fundamental value and utility, but really that doesn't matter if, people are still speculating on these assets. And because Ethereum's in the name, because it's been around since 2017 and did receive a lot of speculation then, I think it's well postured in this market cycle to receive even more speculation, even if it's, some people think it's not warranted due to lack of utility or being an unoriginal crypto. people will still speculate on it. That doesn't matter.
Well, man, Bitcoin volatility obviously has to be just ebbing away over at Deribit, with all of those open contracts, because after that flush that we had this past weekend, man, people have the open interest is still high, but it doesn't seem like they've gone in with the same appetite for leverage that they had before. So we'll definitely be interesting to see how much damage, because usually when you see something that flushes like that, and I don't mean that Bitcoin itself was a flush, but all of the folks that had that over levered position, somewhere from 2 to 1 to 100 to 1. And I think a lot of folks were on that far end of the range, taking a lot more risk than they actually knew or recognized, because they probably didn't want to know how much risk they were taking. That tends to sting and tends to cause people not just to dive right back in with 50 to 1 leverage or whatever, but they probably are just dipping their toe back in. And there could be, a lot of those people that got flushed, there could be some FOMO from some of those folks, some of that fear of missing out because, they were riding the wave. They had that 50 to 1 or whatever leverage. And so instead of just making, on a $2 upside move from 55,000 to 57,000 on a $2,000 move like that, if they've got 50 to 1 leverage, you think you're a god if you're long that on that move. And then all of a sudden you get flushed out because you didn't flip back over into Tether or go into USD or whatever. And instead you got flushed on Saturday night into Sunday. And generally speaking, it's been my experience that people don't just jump back in with that same leverage. They kind of got to dip their toe in. And then if it starts moving, if BTC actually moves, guys, I think you'd have a lot of those million people that got flushed looking for a new entry point and probably leapfrogging each other to get in.
Yeah, I agree with you, John. CJ, I want to toss you a question because I think you've done a great job of kind of laying out both the bullish and the bearish case for Bitcoin. There's technicals kind of pointing in both directions. So you want to just kind of give your general outlook for Bitcoin, what you're seeing with the charts currently?
Yeah, I mean, Bitcoin has been frightening a lot of people because it is pushing those critical levels of like 51K. But what we said yesterday was that, Bitcoin was kind of likely going to be range bound for at least the next couple of days. And that's generally what we're seeing. I think that it's really bullish that people are still willing to speculate in Ethereum and in the altcoin markets and drive those prices up as Bitcoin remains stagnant. And I just think while there are very few negative technical indicators pointing to potential downturns, there are far more fundamental metrics that are pointing to the possibility of this being very near a low at 51K. I think John made a really good point as well earlier, saying that those million traders that were flushed out are going to be hesitant to dip their toe back into the pool. But once they get, if they see Bitcoin going back up, they're probably going to jump back in.
Yep. Well, what do you guys want to do as far as doges of the day?
Yeah, who's starting us off?
Our little Doge dog is not so much licking his wounds because we came back down to 30 or 31 cents for Doge a few days ago, and it's a little bit below that, but there hasn't been just a huge flush in there other than the folks that, I guess when it was up at 39, we're waiting for that 420 or 69 cent print on 420. But what do you guys got for doges of the day? Because I think I got a good one.
Before the show, CJ always just sends me his. And today, once again, we actually had the same Doge. So I had to scramble and find another one. But I mean, that's just validation that I think it's a pretty decent pick. So CJ, you want to start us off with our collective Doge of the day?
Yeah, and touching on yesterday, we talked about Ethereum and Band protocol. Those really rallied. They're up about 10 or 12% on the backs of that jump in the DeFi perpetual index. So I decided to go with a somewhat similar play, and that is Luna. I really like it because we're seeing some solid sentiment coming out of our friends at tradethechain.com, as well as the technicals. You can see on that chart below, we have our first bullish engulfing candle at the bottom of the downtrend. We have prices starting to rebound on both the Stochh as well as the CCI below. So when you mix that with an increase in volume, positive sentiment, and a rally in the overall DeFi market, I think it bodes very well for the next day or two with Luna and in the short term. So Luna's going to be my pick for those reasons.
Yeah, I like it, CJ. And if I could just add one thing, because like I mentioned, I was also looking at this one this morning. You know, one thing that I've noticed historically with Luna is when, and this is true of a lot of crypto assets, when they break above previous all-time highs and enter that mode of price discovery, that's when you see a real increase in trading volume and retail speculation. And, you know, I think with, you know, those factors we were talking about with the DeFi Pulse Index, with Ethereum getting a lot of, you know, speculation right now, I think Luna is well positioned to make a break to its all-time high. And once it does, you know, there's really no resistance beyond 2250. So I think if it continues to gain some speculation, continues to see an increase in trade volume like it's seen so far with Ethereum performing well, I think this is one that can run up very quickly. So full disclosure, I've been holding position and I increased my position this morning because I do think this thing is well set to make a run to the upside.
All right. Well, and I have gone back to the well with Polkadot. It was $48 plus last Saturday night. On the bloodbath, it traded down hard, like a lot of them. Let's see, traded down to 36, 35, 36 area. Now it's trying to gather itself a little bit, and the volume's starting to pick up. It's going up from about $2.4 billion in a 24-hour clock to more like, let's see, what's the latest? Little over 3.4 billion. So here at $35.35, I bought some, and my target would probably be right around that $40 mark. So I'm trading it for about $5 to the upside. That's where I am with this one right now. And that volume is up 23%. So it's not a doubling like I'd love to see, but it's up 23%. So it's giving me a little comfort that maybe other people are in here watching Polkadot too.
Yeah, I know for a fact a lot of people are watching Dot, John. That's one that, you know, we see talked about a lot in the community. So I like that pick. I like that pick a lot.
Cool. Well, remember, guys, you can join Monty and CJ in the trading room over at Market Rebellion. You just type in marketrebellion.com/try crypto. Marketrebellion.com/try crypto. And you can jump into the room, try it out for a month for $1. And if it's something that suits you, something that you get some good, solid communication back and forth with the other members in the room, not just CJ and Monty and their team, but the other folks in the room too, as far as, you know, using it as a barometer for, okay, which coins are heating up and which are cooling off. It's worth it just for that. But there's a lot more, and there's charts and everything. Check it out, marketrebellion.com/try crypto. $1 for the first month. And go ahead.
Want to go back to DOT too.
Oh, okay.
Because you can get up to 9% interest on Voyager on DOT. It's just 8% straight away. But if you hold over 500 VGX Voyager tokens, you get a 1% interest boost. I hold that. So 9% good stuff.
And just like I've said many times about Bitcoin, folks, I like to buy all of these things on dips from $48 down to 35. Yeah, I think that's a decent dip. I like buying it. And like CJ said, you're getting at least a very solid return from the APY that Voyager will pay you. So why not?
Why not? And with that, we'll leave it there and we'll see you folks tomorrow. Thank you for joining. Bye-bye.
Thank you.